Wherever I go, the wind follows. And the wind, it smells like rain.
Welcome to CBR. The upcoming series Spider-Noir will mark the Sony Spider-Man universe's first venture into television. Since voicing Spider-Noir in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, iconic actor Nicolas Cage is now stepping into the live-action version of the character. Today, we're discussing the potential plot of the Spider-Noir series.
Love you all. I'm taking this cube thing with me.
Let's start with some information on Spider-Noir, the character and the show. Set to debut on MGM Plus in the United States and later be released globally on Amazon Prime Video, it will consist of 8 episodes. Spider-Noir will follow an unlucky private investigator in another universe, which mirrors Manhattan in the 1930s. Nicolas Cage will play the titular role of an older Spider-Man who has quit being the city's only superhero. In Marvel Comics, Spider-Noir first appeared in the 2009 4-issue miniseries Spider-Man Noir, a part of the Marvel Noir universe, a reimagination of classic Marvel characters incorporating tropes and themes from the film noir genre in cinema and pulp fiction novels.
In my universe, it's 1933, and I'm a private eye.
Noir continuity in Marvel Comics is set on Earth 90214, which is also called Earth Noir. Spider-Noir kept a lot from Peter Parker's classic characterization, but several details differ. More obviously, he has the personality of an older, hardened protagonist instead of a teenage boy. Spider-Noir wears a black trench coat, a fedora hat, and goggles, giving him a dark, detective-like aesthetic. But, more subtly, smaller details also set them apart. Uncle Ben is not killed by an unidentified burglar in Marvel Noir, but by the supervillain, the Vulture. And Peter gets bitten by a spider hidden in an ancient artifact, instead of during a school field trip to Oscorp. Beyond Cage's Spider-Noir in the show, there will also be Robbie Robertson, played by Lamorne Morris. Robertson is a journalist who often pursues riskier stories to get better paychecks and balance out the odds stacked against him as a black professional. Since the show will be set within a 1930s mentality, the addition of this character hints at blatant racism in the media being addressed. It seems unlikely for the filmmakers to add this character in particular without the intention to explore racial conflicts. Robbie Robertson was a character created long before Spider-Noir. Debuting back in Amazing Spider-Man number 51 in 1967, he was one of the first black characters who played a serious supporting role in Marvel Comics. Seeing how previous black characters were mostly unimportant, the late 1960s was when Marvel started to actively correct this racist tendency in the comics. Robertson showed up as a clever role model and often looked out for Peter when he worked as a freelance photographer at the Daily Bugle newspaper. With T'Challa as Black Panther debuting around the same time and Sam Wilson as the Falcon roughly 2 years after that, it's important to note how Robbie Robertson has his own political importance as a black character despite not being a Marvel superhero, paving the way for a more nuanced representation of black characters in comics books in general. Other confirmed characters in the series include a New York mob boss played by Brendan Gleeson, a nightclub singer played by Lee Jun Lee, a morally corrupted World War I veteran played by Abraham Papula, and a bodyguard played by Jack Houston. Industry insider and internet personality Daniel Richtman has shared on his Patreon account that Nicolas Cage's role is actually called Ben Reilly and not Peter Parker, which would explain why the protagonist's name has not yet been officially confirmed.
Sorry, I can't talk right now.
Ben Reilly in Marvel Comics is a genetic clone of Peter Parker who established his own superhero reputation as Scarlet Spider and later became Chasm. It seems like Cage playing Ben Reilly has no connection to the cloning scenario, being a choice made just to separate his character from Tom Holland's Peter Parker and avoid confusion. The show will make Ben Reilly a private investigator instead of an investigative journalist like Peter Parker is in the Noir comics. There could be more inaccuracies beyond the character's name and occupation. But both of these particular differences mentioned don't change the key aspects of the protagonist, someone who unveils potentially criminal schemes for a living and later rectifies any wrongdoings he finds as Spider-Man. According to Daniel Richtman, the Spider-Noir series will show how Riley uncovers a web of corruption in the city. Richmond's Patreon post reads, Riley investigates the death of Edward Addison, which leads him to discover that the mayor of New York City is up to something nefarious that involves crime boss Silvermane and femme fatale Yuri Watanabe. Additionally, in an interview with The New Yorker published in July, Nicolas Cage stated that Spider-Noir is fantasy. It's not really people beating people up. Monsters are involved. This indicates that it will be far from a street-level story, although it's centered around mob crimes.
Sometimes I let matches burn down to my fingertips just to feel something, anything.
This series will probably explore the darker, more mysterious side of the Spider-Man lore, infused with supernatural elements and classic noir tropes. Brendan Gleeson's mob boss role will likely be the villain, specifically Silvermane, if Richmond's reports are correct. In Marvel Comics, Silvermane is a supervillain whose real name is Silvio Manfredi. He rises to the head of a family within the Italian mob Magia. Although the villain has yet to be adapted to the big screen, he did briefly appear in Daredevil Season 1, Episode 3, under the name of Silvio, and later again in Episode 13. The series could begin with Ben Reilly investigating the mysterious death of Edward Addison. There is no character by this exact name in Marvel Comics, but considering it's a reimagination of 1930s New York, we can expect him to be, for example, a wealthy industrialist whose murder is staged to look like an accident. Addison could have been a whistleblower planning to expose corruption at City Hall. Riley is drawn to the case due to his own identification with Addison's heroism, feeling the need to protect the city despite being disillusioned. This investigation leads him to work with Robbie Robertson, a journalist who uncovers a deeper conspiracy involving the Italian mob. The investigation confirms that the city's mayor is secretly collaborating with Silvermane, whose criminal empire can be revealed to be intertwined with the entire political elite. However, Riley soon realizes that journalism isn't enough to stop Silvermane and awakens the dormant Spider-Noir persona. Silvermane should be depicted as both a criminal genius and an emerging transhuman threat, experimenting with early forms of cybernetic augmentation, which would be a nod to his eventual full transformation into a cyborg in the comics.
You're going to pay for this, you masked insect!
The nightclub singer played by Lee Jun Lee would be the femme fatale Yuri Watanabe, who can easily fit into the story as an independent vigilante working undercover as a nightclub performer, forming connections to both the mayor and Silvermane. Yuri is secretly the anti-hero Wraith, a morally ambiguous vigilante with a personal vendetta against corruption. She can manipulate Riley and play against both sides, adding layers of distrust and tension. The monsters that Cage mentioned in his The New Yorker interview could be many. One of the best options would be the debut of Shathra, a being inhabitant of the astral plane that could be later connected to any other project within the SSU if the studios wish to do so. Shathra is an extremely powerful astral entity that manifests as a spider wasp, being a natural predator of spider-like beings like Spider-Man.
I heard Spider-Man was there.
The investigation led by Riley and Robertson could slowly reveal a connection between the criminal underworld and the supernatural. Silvermane may find a way to summon Shathra onto their reality through his experiments with technology, or to send Spider-Noir to the astral plane temporarily, where he could meet the astral spider hunter and inadvertently bring her to Earth Noir with him. Instead of actively fighting Silvermane and criminals, Ben Reilly would face Shathra and potentially even more supernatural monsters from the Spider-Man lore first. He would take down the criminal organization and expose the corruption at City Hall with the help of Robertson through journalism, tackling all sides to Silvermane's operations at once. Silvermane is an important supervillain who can survive and be reused as an antagonist for Daredevil or any other hero in the SSU. After the Spider-Noir series, he can fully become a cyborg as a consequence of being defeated by Ben Reilly, promising to never fail again.
I don't understand it, but I will.
It's still unclear whether the SSU and the MCU will cross over beyond the connection of the Tom Holland-led Spider-Man movies to the MCU, but making Spider-Man variations, especially following the reappearance of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's versions, can be a smart move by Sony. Nicolas Cage as Ben Reilly could return and meet Peter Parker in another multiversal experience before the end of the Multiverse saga. What are your expectations for the series? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, thanks for watching CBR.